Submission Radio here with Javier Mendez post UFC 284, brought to you by Manscaped, the official electric trimmer of the UFC. And Javier, let's get straight into it. We're just hours after, maybe just an hour after the main event. Let's just kick off by talking about how are you feeling? What are the emotions right now after this historic battle that we just witnessed?
Well, I feel good. It was definitely a challenge. Alex he actually became the challenge Habib told me he was going to be. Habib told me that he was going to be, he felt that Alex was going to be the toughest challenge for Islam, and that Islam was going to have to grind it, through the end. That's what he felt. And I said, well, I didn't know, because the way I looked at Islam, he looked fantastic in training. So, but Habib had a feeling that it was going to be a tougher fight than I anticipated myself. So it was exactly what Habib thought it was. It was a real tough fight. We got pound for pound for a reason, but we beat it from a guy that is the greatest of all time in the featherweight division and one of the greats of all time. He's going to be, no doubt. And what a gentleman he is. Wow, he's just class act.
Were you surprised by his ability to hang with Islam in the grappling? Because a lot of those moments, like, opponents struggle to survive in those positions, whereas Alex was basically, enjoying himself and playing to the crowd in those moments.
Yeah, it didn't surprise me at the beginning. I was like thinking, okay, he's super strong, but then he got stronger as the rounds went on. So it's like everybody talks about him. He doesn't get tired, that guy. So he was a very fresh guy going into the fifth round. So at the beginning, I thought maybe the grappling would slow him down. It didn't slow him down. No, he got better and better as the rounds went on. So, one mess up by Islam got him turned over, and, Alex did really well in the fifth round.
It was a very close fight, obviously. The second round, and of course that fourth round where Islam was able to secure the takedown, was a very, very important moment in the fight. When you were going into the decisions there, how nervous were you that this could have been going the other way by the judges' scorecards?
The way I saw it, worst case, I saw it 48-47 for us. Best case, I thought it was, basically 49-46. I thought, but I'm biased, obviously, because this is my guy, right? So, but I wasn't too nervous at all. No, not at all. The only one that got me shocked was actually Zubaira's fight. I thought we had that 3-0, and we didn't get that at all. I was like, wow. So, to some degree, based on that, you're thinking, man, you just don't know how the judging is going to look at it. So, it was definitely a competitive fight, but I definitely thought we definitely had the edge.
Is it true that Islam thought that he'd lost that fight? I know that Volkanovski was here backstage, and he thought that he heard somebody say that Islam wanted a rematch because he thought he may not have won the fight. Is there any truth to that, or is that a misunderstanding?
It has to be a misunderstanding. I don't feel Islam thought he lost that fight. He definitely knew he was in a war. That's for darn sure. I mean, this is his toughest test to date. That is for sure. I can say it wasn't, but I'd be lying. All you got to do is look at all his fights. You can see this is his toughest fight. Absolutely his toughest fight. So, mistaken on what he heard, but as far as the toughest fight, Habib hit it on the nail. Habib said this would be his toughest fight, and it actually was. I wasn't sure.
Have you ever seen Islam being pushed like this, even like in the training room? Have you ever seen him go up against this kind of adversity?
Well, yeah, Habib. Anybody who goes Habib, it's like it's crazy going with Habib. That's why people don't understand why I call him the greatest, because he's just that. He's just the greatest. I see this guy all the time, and he just amazes me all the time what that guy can do.
Do you think we see a rematch between the two before Islam moves up to welterweight and leaves the division?
I definitely think the UFC is going to want to see a rematch, so I don't see no reason why they wouldn't do a rematch. I think it would be great. I think the fans would love it. I think Islam would be down for it also, and obviously Alex is, because, come on, he calls himself Alexander the Great, and he lives up to that name, so there's a reason why he's, and he's such a gentleman. Such a gentleman. Though he's a competitor, he feels he won, but that's the way you're supposed to feel. And he's got the right attitude, and I think at some point they probably will do a rematch.
It's kind of funny because both guys showed off the opposite, in the sense that Volk showed off his grappling, Islam showed off his striking. Volk said, yeah, maybe I underestimated his striking, and vice versa. I'm curious, though, with Islam saying that he really wanted to show off his striking in this fight. How well do you think he did that? Because obviously he hurt Alex on the feet a number of times.
Islam did well in his striking, but he didn't do as well as I thought he could have, and that attributes to how good Alex's striking is. So it had nothing to do with me thinking Islam wasn't a great striker. I think he is. I've told you guys plenty of times. So he definitely won the majority of the striking wars. You got to just watch it. He won. But what I didn't expect is how strong Alex was going to be in the later rounds. I didn't expect that. And his tenacity for wanting to come, I knew that. I seen that. I seen these fights. He keeps coming. But I didn't understand fully how strong he was going to be. And he kept coming on really strong in the later rounds.
I was going to ask you about what you thought was the toughest part of the fight. Do you think that was it? Because I think a lot of people, if they had Islam winning, they thought it was just going to be a mauling.
Yeah, I didn't know what was going to happen. I felt comfortable that we were going to win, but I didn't know how. I thought it was going to be, I don't know how. I don't know how we were going to win. I didn't know if it was going to be a decision. I always go 5 rounds, and I'm glad I did because I needed to be in the game. I didn't look at no short fight ending here because if I would have done that, then I would have been, the 4th round, now what? No, I was in 5 rounds. So I had said that all the time, that I'm in a 5-round mental situation, and I didn't expect no finish, and that's what we got.
Now that the fight is said and done, take us into the actual prep and coming to Australia, the weight cut. Anything that we didn't realize, any hurdles, anything that you didn't want to sort of mention to us going into this fight that could be impacting Islam, any kind of performance issues, anything to do with injury, or even just making that weight with less rehydration time? I believe there's 24 hours here compared to the usual 36 hours that you guys get in other places.
Well, on this one here, the weight cut was a little tougher. And Charles, the UFC weight guy, he told me, where was he last time? He goes, he was a little lower. And I go, so was he a little concerned? Yeah, he was a little concerned. Not major concern, but he was just a little concerned. For me, I'm never involved in the weight cuts. So if there was a problem, I wasn't told about it because his sparring looked great. I came out 3 weeks out, and I watched all the sparring here, and he did fantastic. He looked his normal self. So if there was a problem, it was hidden from me.
Just quickly, I mean, we give Alex a lot of credit for the fight, but I just want to also talk about Islam for overcoming some of the adversity in that fight because Alex really brought it. What do you take away from seeing what Islam was able to do in there? A lot of fighters in there with Alex being pressured like that and being in some of those situations aren't able to make it through and win. Do you think there's something that's picked up from a win like this for Islam, especially in considering he's never had to deal with this kind of adversity before?
I 100% feel that this was a great plus for Islam because he can deal with adversity because he had to deal with adversity in this one. And Alex pushed the pace, and Islam came back and did fantastic. So he had to. You're 100% correct. It was adversity, and he conquered it. And when they collide again, it's going to be a different fight, different adversity for both sides. It's not going to be an easy fight for both sides. No way. But let's see what happens. Let's see what's in the cards. I'm sure Yair has got. He's got the next calling, and let's see what happens from there.
What would you like next for Islam?
I'm not sure, but I honestly feel Beneil was deserving of a title shot, and I know he's fighting somebody, and honestly, I hope he wins because I think he deserves it. That's just my opinion. I felt that before, and I still feel now. I think Beneil deserves the next title shot. But he's fighting somebody, so I don't know who it is. I think maybe Gagey.
Potentially Charles Oliveira.
Okay,
Nothing
Charles
100% confirmed yet.
Okay, if it is Charles, if the UFC announces it, because it has to be announced. Yeah. It's not announced, it's not true. But if it is announced, then that's to justify the right call. Because if Charles can beat, him, then that means that Charles is the next guy in line. So yeah, that's actually a perfect match if they get Beneil and him and Charles match. That would be the perfect one.
All right, well, Coach, let me tell you, you come down all the way to Perth. You guys have made history yet again. You're no stranger to it, but we want to congratulate you and the team on an incredible fight here in Perth that's going to go down in the history books. I know the fans and everybody appreciates you for coming down, taking this fight, and putting on a performance like that. Congratulations to you, and thank you so much.
Thanks. The crowd, the fans are great. They booed us, but you know what? It was okay. That's okay. That's because they're proud of Alex and that's pride. There's nothing wrong with it. It wasn't bad hate. It was just boo boo, you suck. Because we thought our guy won, or boo boo, I don't like you because I like my guy better. But it was all fun. It wasn't hostile situations. It was fan situation, but not hostile. I've been in hostile situations. This has never been even close to one of them. So the fans here are very respectful. Yeah, they don't. They have their favorite. They're allowed to do that, right? But very respectful.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.